ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Thursday Night Football Overtime. Texans, Jets. That was very interesting, right? Boy, the Jets make things tough. They make things a lot harder than they need to be. My goodness. Oh, man. I got so much to say about this Jets team. And the crazy part is that they have so much talent on offense. And their defense, while it's not great, it's not as good as it was last year or even the year before. It's, not necessarily the best coach team. You have an interim head coach that kind of looks a little lost on the sidelines at times. They make so many boneheaded mistakes. They did not want to win this game. They tried their damnedest to lose, but the Texans, they were awful tonight. And this short week with the news of Stephon Diggs really doomed the Texans, and their offensive line was abysmal tonight. CJ Stroud, that was the worst I've ever seen him look. And the statistics and the numbers from tonight's game kind of back that up. The only thing he didn't have was interceptions. He had a fumble. He had a less than 50% completion percentage. I'm guessing that thing was damn near close to the 30s. It's probably somewhere in that 42, 43% range. He was inaccurate all night. He got sacked 8 times, right? I mean, they beat the shit out of him. I told my dad, talking to my dad because I got his picks, and I said, boss man, who you taking tonight? And he said, I got the Texans. And I said, well, that's a loss for you. And he's like, they're not losing that game. And I drove to his house, took my kids to their grandparents for the weekend. And when I got to the house, the Texans were up 10-7, and the Jets were driving. And I said, you're losing this game. You're losing this game. He said, who you pick? I said, the Jets. I said, I'm undefeated on Thursday night this year. I'm hot. The Jets are winning tonight. And when I told him that, he said, nah, the Jets ain't winning nothing. And we went through all of the dumb shit they had done throughout the course of the night. And it made me rethink one of my life's decisions, right? Like, did I really do the right thing tonight? And watching this, I was sick to my stomach after, Corley dropped the ball. And I instantly knew it. I'm watching this thing in the car while we're driving. I wasn't driving. I'm not Mr. Ron B. I wasn't driving. My wife was driving. I was sitting in the passenger seat watching this thing. And I say touchdown as I see him break, turn that corner, and I see the blocking developing. I say, oh, that's touchdown. And then I see him get to the goal line. I see him drop the ball. I said, that's not a touchdown. And I put my head down. I said, that's not a touchdown. He dropped that ball. I said, please, because then, the camera follows him and he runs away from the football. And I said, please, a Jet defender, please, or a Jet teammate, please pick that football up. Please. And I was hoping a Texan didn't pick it up and, run with it or anything like that. And somehow that ball just, hey, how you doing, Pylon? I'm having a great day. All right now. And it somehow waddled all the way out of the back of the damn end zone. Like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. And so Aaron Rodgers on the first possession of the game. Wide open Devontae Adams up the sideline, and he misses him. I go, uh-oh, that's not good. And then he has Devontae open again, and he misses him again. And I go, then he tries to throw a back shoulder fade to him, and Devontae's blocking, and I'm like, oh, shit. This is going to be fun. And then Joe Mixon starts going, right? And he starts breaking off runs. And luckily enough, the defense was able to force C.J. Stroud to fumble. So that avoided, the first points of the game, more likely than not. Then obviously you got the Corley fumble at the goal line. What a doofus. We'll talk about that here in a second. Then, the Texans get on the board first with their touchdown. And I started to have this sick feeling in my stomach, but the Jets responded right away, or close enough. I think the score might have been 7-0 at half, I think. And then the Jets got the touchdown in to start the second half, I believe. That was not a good throw from Aaron Rodgers. That was an unbelievable catch by Garrett Wilson, who reminded everybody tonight. I think this was another reminder to everybody, hey, I'm still one of them dudes in this league at the receiver position. And, he was supposed to be the biggest beneficiary of Aaron Rodgers coming into New York to play for the Jets. He was supposed to finally have a guy that could get him the football, that would unlock him and make him one of the most, dominant receivers in the NFL. And everyone felt like that first year, last year, he was like the chemistry that the two had really built in the offseason and the preseason, well, training camp. They didn't play in the preseason. I don't think they did, at least. Kind of set them up for, I think Rodgers did play in the preseason last year. Kind of set them up for what was supposed to be like a massive season. And then Rodgers obviously goes down week 1. And he still had over 1,000 yards last year, despite the turmoil at the quarterback position. And you just felt like, all right, Rodgers is back this year. Garrett Wilson, he's about to snap. And it didn't happen. And some of it was him, some of it was Rodgers, some of it was the offensive line. But whatever the case may be, it made the Jets feel compelled to go out and get Davante Adams. And I said the biggest beneficiary of the Adams trade was, again, Garrett Wilson, right? I said Garrett Wilson is going to now see one-on-one. He's going to see the second best corner, in certain instances, the third best corner on the opposing team. And he's going to be able to do a lot of damage. And for some inexplicable reason, on the second touchdown that he caught, which was just unreal, we won't see a better catch the entire season. And it's eerily similar. Like him stretching out looks eerily similar to the Jumpman logo. If you haven't seen the still shot of that, it looks just like if Jordan was making a Jumpman logo for the NFL, that's his silhouette right there, right? That's the silhouette. So that's an amazing catch. It looks like he's out of bounds. You're like, please let that count. Look, I got the Jets. I picked the Jets. I need this to count. I don't know how many more times they're getting down here. I need this to count. And of course, initially it's ruled incomplete. And we just watched the game. I don't remember what game it was. Maybe it was the Cowboys and Niners, or no. It was the Giants and the Steelers, where the guy, it was George Pickens didn't touch with his other foot. His right foot, I believe, hit twice, right? It was down, and then he popped up in the air. It came down again, but the left foot never hit the ground, so it was incomplete. And Garrett Wilson's right foot, if I'm not mistaken, hit twice, right? And you're like, oh, shit, that's incomplete. But then, they slow it down and you start looking, and I'm like, come on, man. Shin, give me something, right? Shin, toe, something. I need it, right? And sure enough, I actually think the toe hit before the shin. They came back and said the shin was down. I think the damn toe hit first, and then the shin. Either way, it was still a catch. So what a grab. What a play. Rodgers literally just threw that shit up for grabs. What I don't understand in that particular instance is how, if you're the Texans, there's There's no Devontae Adams. He had already left the game with a concussion at that point, or in concussion protocol, rather. There's no Allen Lazard. Mike Williams is a non-factor until otherwise notified. How is it on 3rd and 19, you decide, or 21, or whatever the hell it was, you decide to give the one guy that can actually hurt you one-on-one? Now, it wasn't terrible coverage or any of that, but he shouldn't have been back there. The rookie Lassiter should not have been back there by himself with Garrett Wilson. Where's the psychological sense in that? Right? Anyhow, Rodgers threw the bitch up for grabs, and Wilson went up and made an impossible play. And so in the transition from the house to the car, right? We watched that play. We watched them, overturn it, call it a touchdown. I dap my dad up, give my mom a kiss. We transitioned to the car after Steven Sims Jr. returns the kickoff. And we get in the car, and I said, boss, I told you, you losing this game. That's 14-10. And just a little to go back in the game a bit, Kamimi Fairbairn had already missed a field goal, right? From 56 or something like that before the half. Like I said, the Texans coaching staff they're limited. I'm just going to say it that way. They're limited, the staff of the Texans. Situationally, they're awful. Okay, we'll get to them here in a second. Because I have a lot to say about the Texans. So he had already missed a kick right before the half, gave the Jets an opportunity to get some points on the board before halftime, and the Jets, they just couldn't do it. So you fast forward back to present time in the game, 14-10, and we transition from the house into the car, and we're on our way back home. And by the time we get to the railroad track, which is 2 lights before the interstate, and literally this is probably a 3-minute drive, right? In the car, out of the neighborhood, to the stoplight where the train tracks were. The train came down. I'm like, all right, I should be able to get everything adjusted, get the game back up. The Texans are already inside the Jets' 25-yard line. What the hell just happened that quick? I don't even know what happened. I still don't know what happened. But there they are, inside the Jets' 25-yard line. Like, what the happened, bro? That quick? So, they're trying to get in. They can't get in. Stroud gets sacked for what felt like the 90th time in the game, and they are forced to settle for a 43-yard field goal. Fairbairn makes it. But the Jets. So to go back in the story, hold on, because I have to make sure I'm not leaving out any Jet blunders, because there were so many of them tonight. So they force a punt early in the game, and the guy Charles tries to block. He's not even close. He sells out to block a kick that he's not even remotely close to blocking. And he hits the kicker in his leg, and you know how kickers are. They're gonna sell it. He probably did, come up a little lame or whatever, but he was fine. But he's on the ground writhing in pain. Oh my God, my legs snapped into 6 pieces. Oh my God, I can't believe he hit me. And of course, they call it roughing the kicker. And that was like on a 4th and 19. And I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. This Jets team is just the worst, right? Luckily enough for them, the Texans they had an off night, and so they didn't get any points out of it. But you're just like, are you kidding me? You're really going to do that? Your defense worked that hard to get you the football back, and you're going to do that on special teams? Fast forward to present time. Speaking of special teams, they were special tonight for the Jets in all the wrong ways. So the Jets forced the field goal attempt. They sack Stroud on 3rd down, make it a 43-yard field goal. Fairbairn knocks it home, but there's a flag. Wouldn't you know it? And they call the Jets for striking the head of the long snapper. Okay, I never really heard that one before, but I get it. They always look to protect the long snapper, and so guy tries to jump, he knees him in his head, whatever. Like, God, I hate the Jets. I wish I didn't have to pick them, but I knew they were going to win this game, and I had to pick them, and I was like, I hate the Jets. I hate relying on the Jets. I hate picking the Jets. I hate having to root for the Jets. I hate needing the Jets to win because they don't make anything easy. So then they, of course, take the penalty. My wife's like, would you have taken the field goal? I'm like, no. Why would you do that? You got a chance to score a touchdown now. If you're the Texans, points have been hard to come by tonight. You don't pass up an opportunity to get the points, to get the touchdown. I mean, even if you have to settle for another field goal, you'll be 15 yards closer. Who cares? He's not going to miss. Sure enough, the Jets forced them to have to settle for another field goal. Stroud missed a wide open receiver, first and foremost, on a slant, his night was just abysmal. He was awful tonight. But that's what getting your ass kicked will do to you, right? Getting sacked 8 times and molested the way that he did tonight will have you seeing ghosts. It will have you inaccurate. It will have you speeding up your process. And not having your best receivers will also do that to you as well. This was his first game with no Nico Collins and no Stephon Diggs. It was Tank Dell and them. All right, that's who was out there. Tank Dell and them. Don't ask me who else they have at receiver outside of Robert Woods and Tank Dell. I can't tell you. Good luck with that one. You got to be a Texans fan to know. So, yeah, it was rough on him tonight. And so they go to kick the field goal. Now it's like a 29-yard field goal, something like that. And my wife just asked me, would you have just taken the points and not the penalty? I'm like, no, babe, that's not how that works. Like, the only time you take points off the board, you don't take points off the board is if it's not a first down. Then you just keep the points. But anytime you get an automatic first down or even a penalty that puts you in a 4th and 1, 4th and 2 type situation, it might change your thought process. 2, probably not. 1, you might decide, you know what? Now let's go for this shit now, right? But that was an automatic first down. So I was explaining to her, how all of that works. She's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then he misses. I was like, he's not going to miss, so it doesn't matter. And then Fairbairn misses. I'm like, unreal. She just looked at me like what she was saying, like this was an argument. This isn't an argument. You don't decline that penalty. You take the first down and you try to get a touchdown. Like, there's no, I told you. Like, there's no I told you here, right? The Texans did the right thing, and their kicker just missed, which is not supposed to happen. So, which I loved, by the way. I wasn't upset about that. I was like, oh, hell yeah, right? I was looking for something a little bit more sinister. I was looking for a fumble, a hit, sack, fumble, scoop, score type situation. A pick six, somebody jumps a route, errant throw, something like. I was looking for something a lot more sinister, but shit, I'll take the missed field goal. And then at that point, you just knew, right? Like, okay, the Jets have a chance, and then they convert a 4th down, they convert another a big 3rd down, and then Devontae comes back, and they're able to hit the touchdown to him. And at that point, you knew they were desperate, man. Like, you would have thought they just clinched a playoff spot for the first time in 14 years. When Aaron Rodgers threw that touchdown pass to Devontae Adams to put him up 21-10, the way they were celebrating, that 5-game losing streak was kicking their ass, boy. That shit was wearing them out. You would have, you know how many games Aaron Rodgers has won? You know how many games Devontae Adams has won in their NFL careers together? You know how many big games, high-profile games, playoff games those two have played in together, and that's the reaction in a week 9 contest on a Thursday night against the Houston Texans. That's your reaction? Yeah. That losing streak was kicking their ass. And they were stoked. Devontae got the shit in the air, like, yeah. Aaron Rodgers is pushing coaches and pointing at people and shit. I'm like, boy, y'all needed that shit bad, boy. But I also needed that bad. And when that touchdown happened, I said, got him. But then I realized, wait a minute. It's the Jets. You're not out of the woods yet. Still a whole, 2 minutes and 56 seconds left, and the Texans have 2 timeouts. Nothing's impossible with this Jets team. But they were able to hold on. They allowed the Texans to score a field goal, but took the Texans, it felt like 50 plays to go, 70 yards and end up having to settle for a field goal. Obviously tried the onside kick. Devontae Adams recovered, and that was all she wrote. But the Jets were due. They were long overdue for this win. And apparently the schedule is very favorable for them the rest of the way. They don't play another team with a winning record the rest of the season, except for one team, I believe, that has a winning record. But that could change. They got a bunch of 4-4 teams on their schedule. Those teams could easily be over 500 2-3 weeks from now, whatever the case may be. So it's not as easy as they tried to make it seem, especially with the way this Jets team plays football. But y'all, all it takes is one win in this league to turn your season around. When you got the type of talent the Jets have, they could get hot here quickly and be right back in the midst of a wild card chase. Because as I told you guys before, the wild card in the AFC is crazy. I still think Denver's going to fall off of a cliff at some point. They're doing a great job of beating the teams that they're supposed to beat, but at some point you run out of those opponents, and we'll see. But I won't count the Jets out. But I'm definitely not counting their asses in either. They make shit way too difficult. Let's talk about the Corley fumble for a second before we transition over to the Texans side of things. It is unbelievable to me that we are in 2024 and guys are still prematurely dropping the football before they cross the plane of the goal line. It is unfathomable to me that still happens. I saw this happen 2 weeks ago in a college football game where a guy did that same stupid ass shit. And you just go, I struggle with the whole concept of, I'm so excited, I'm going to drop the ball, right? The last thing I want to do when I get in the end zone is drop the football. There's a lot of things you can do with the football. And if you don't need the football for your celebration and the football can be discarded, just wait till you get, what is the rush, right? What is the rush to drop the football? Why is it that soon as you touch the end zone, I got to drop this thing? I don't need it anymore. I got to celebrate, and this football's in my way. I can't hold it for an extra second until I am comfortably in the end zone. I got to lose my shit, lose my mind, black out, drop the football, and celebrate. What is the deal with that shit? Or as a wise man would say, what is up with that? Why is that still a thing? After Deshaun Jackson did it some 15 years ago, you would think that guys, that was on a national stage, that was on a Monday night football game against the Dallas Cowboys. You would think after seeing it there, coaches, players, and everybody involved would say, hey, this is for me, if I'm a coach, this is day one. If one of my players does this, you're getting fined. Because this is one of the stupidest things a player can do, is to drop the ball before they score a touchdown. I don't give a shit if it's your first NFL touchdown. I don't give a shit how excited you are. There is no excuse for dropping the ball before you score. And I knew it. When he dropped it, I told my wife, I said, that's a touchdown. And I said, it's not. And I dropped my head and she said, what are you talking about? Is it a penalty? I was like, no, this clown dropped the football before he got in the end zone. I said, somebody please pick it up that's on the Jets team. Please pick it up. And I didn't know what happened, like with the ball, right? I didn't know if a Jet player picked it up, if a Texan picked it up, if it went out of bounds, if it just sat there on the ground. I didn't know what the hell happened to it. Then they finally showed the replay, and the ball waddled out of bounds. Like, and my wife just kept saying, it should be 7-0 every 2 seconds. It should be 7-0. He's a dumbass. It should be 7-0. He's a dummy. I hope they keep putting a camera on him. It should be 7-0. And I'm like, all right, man. Like, I'm pissed, right? Because I got the Jets, and I know points are hard to come by for them. And she's like, she just keeps saying it over. It should be 7-0. I hope they talk about that shit all night. It should be 7-0. I'm like, She said, they're going to lose now. I was like, no, they are not going to lose this game. They are winning this game. You know, I ain't trying to hear that shit, right? Don't say that shit to me. I ain't trying to hear that, right? I'm not trying to hear that shit. They going to lose this game now. It should be 7-0. I'm like, they winning this game. God damn it. They were dominating the damn Texans, especially on the defensive side. But, you know, they kept showing the camera, and I was pissed too. I was like, yeah, keep putting the pan shot on this dumbass. That shit was stupid, you know. God, the Jets are just so undisciplined. Like, that's a bad team right there. Like, they're a really bad team, but they might end up winning some games this season, just off the strength of their talent. But I can tell you this: Aaron Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers anymore. That I don't know if, like, being 1 year removed from the ACL, you know, has changed him or whatever. Like, he just, again, I said this a couple weeks back when they were on prime time and they lost to the Steelers. I keep waiting for the old Aaron Rodgers to show up. And what I got to come to grips with is he's just old Aaron Rodgers, right? The old Aaron is just old Aaron Rodgers. He's missing throws that he didn't use. He can't move. Like, he can't escape pressure. Like, he's a sitting duck back there. So the Aaron Rodgers that I grew up, you know, mesmerized by, he was slippery. He could extend. You know, he could run, but you don't have to be, you know, super mobile these days. You just got to be able to buy time in the pocket. He can't even do that. He can't even slide or, you know, step up. Like, his pocket mobility is trash, right? He sees pressure and he's looking for somewhere to get down, right? He doesn't want to get hit. And so it's all bad, man. He's not the Aaron Rodgers. He finally made a throw at the end of the game to Devontae Adams for the touchdown, where you go, all right, that looked like Aaron Rodgers just a tad bit. But the 2 touchdowns by Garrett Wilson, those weren't good throws. Those were excellent, ridiculous, out of this world catches by Garrett Wilson, right? He made Aaron Rodgers look good on passes that weren't very good. Let's give some love to the Jets defense. They were really the reason that they won this game. They sacked CJ Stroud 8 times. They really made him uncomfortable. The numbers bear that out. What was he, 11 of 30 in this game or some craziness like that? Was CJ Stroud for 100 and, you know, 20, 30, 40 yards? Like, he wasn't very good in this game. Obviously, no touchdowns, no interceptions. They forced him to fumble once and recovered that. He couldn't get right in this game, and he was never comfortable. Now, Joe Mixon had himself a day, but that's what Joe Mixon has done. Like, Joe Mixon has turned the clock back. He does not look like an 8-year running back. He looks like he's in year 3 of his NFL career. He looks splendid this season running the football. I mean, he looked good again tonight. Had some unfortunate penalties that called back some of his runs. They wasted some of his big runs where they even missed a field goal. Stroud took some bad sacks tonight too. Some bad sacks that forced longer field goal attempts and knocked him out of field goal range once. I mean, he took some really bad sacks. And yeah, Mixon ran it really well though. He was extraordinary yet again. The Texans defensively were solid. They got to Aaron Rodgers too in this game. They gave up a little something on the ground to Breece Hall, but for the most part, they were solid. They gave the offense every opportunity they needed to win this game, and the offense just couldn't take advantage. They just weren't very good. You got to give Thomas Morstead, the Jets punter, some love too. He had some incredible punts, including one that was downed at the 2-yard line, and it ended up being like a net of 75 yards. I think that thing hit after traveling maybe like 58 yards in the air, and then it trickled all the way down to the 2-yard line and was down by the Jets. It was a tremendous punt, and that's the definition of flipping field position. And then the Texans proceeded to go 98 yards and score a touchdown in like 16 plays, which was crazy. But this Texans team, this game right here, I hope is not a sign of things to come. I know Nico Collins' return is on the horizon. He was placed on IR, I want to say after week 4. I know they played, that was the game against, who was that at home? They played that game where he caught that deep ball. It was Buffalo. He caught the deep ball against the Bills and then left the game and didn't return. That game against Buffalo had to be week 5 because the Bills started 3-0 and then they got blown out by Baltimore. And then I think they lost to the Texans the next week, because I remember saying we're going to find out a lot about Buffalo after the Jacksonville game. And we found out a lot about Buffalo after the Jacksonville game. But so he should be eligible after week 9. This is week 9. So I don't know how, the progress is going with the hammy, but I'd like to think he'll be back here shortly. Boy, they could use him, after the Stephon Diggs injury. It's rough. I'm seeing a lot of funny lookings out there running around, and that ain't good. But let's talk about some of the decisions that the Texans make. I got to go back to last week or 2 weeks ago against Green Bay. They've had some end of game situations that are just inexplicable. They should have lost to Buffalo because they had a chance to kick a field goal at the end of regulation against Buffalo. Before the end of regulation field goal that they ended up kicking and winning with. They had the football with about 36 seconds left. The Bills have no timeouts left. The Texans have all 3 of their timeouts. The Texans are right on the edge of field goal range. It's probably from that distance about a 54-yard field goal or something like that. And would you like to get closer? Yeah, absolutely. You would like to get closer, but also you're in a position, it's very similar to at the end of an NBA game where if the score is tied and you have the basketball and the shot clock is off, guess what? You're taking the final shot of regulation. And if you make it, you win. If you miss it, we're going to overtime. But you aren't going to have a chance to possess the basketball again in regulation. Either we win in regulation or we're going to overtime, right? That's what the Texans should have been doing, up or tied at 20. I think the score was 20-20 with 36 seconds left, with the Bills having no timeouts. The play there is to run the ball and kick the field goal, right? Run the ball, bleed the clock, call a timeout with 3 seconds left, kick the damn field goal. If you miss, we're going to overtime. If you make it, you're going home happy. Everybody drive home safe. God bless and good night. These ignoramuses drop CJ Stroud back. He gets pressured on the play, throws the ball to no one. They call intentional grounding. They're out of field goal range now, and they have to punt the ball to Buffalo. I'm like, you can't. What are you doing? You stupid idiot. Now, luckily enough for them, Buffalo was just as dumb because instead of them saying, hey, we're backed up all the way at our own 8, let's just run it 3 times, force the Texans to call their 3 timeouts, punt the bitch away, and, let's go to overtime, right? No, they throw the ball 3 times, give it right back to the Texans, and the Texans end up getting back in the field goal range, and he kicks like a 56-yard walk-off, and they win, right? So all's well that ends well. Hell no, that's stupid shit. Fast forward 3 weeks, they are at Green Bay. They get a big first down through the Texans with about 2 minutes and 8 seconds left. Clock winds down to the 2-minute warning. It's 1st and 10. Packers still have like all 3 of their timeouts, so 2 of their timeouts, something to that effect. So they go into, mind you, this is a 2-point Packer lead, I believe. So they go into full, hey, we got this in the bag mode, right? Like, bro, you should still be attacking for a touchdown. Right now, the time isn't of any factor, right? It's not an issue. The Packers have timeouts. You can't run the clock out with the current situation that the game is in right now, with the 2-minute warning, plus the Packers having 2 or 3 timeouts. You can't run out the clock. So why are you approaching this as if you can run out the clock, right? The Packers can still stop the clock. So you can't run it on 1st down, run it on 2nd down, run it on 3rd down, and then, call a timeout with 4 seconds left and then kick a walk-off field goal. That's not the position. But that's how they played it, though, right? These clowns, after getting a massive 3rd down conversion inside the Packers, 15-yard line, let's call it the Packers 14, they get down to after this conversion. It's a big conversion, right? Because at this point now, you kind of control the outcome of the game if you play it right. So they get the 1st down. 2-minute warning hits. They come out and they run the ball on 1st down. They either get no gain or lose one. They run it on 2nd down like, hey, a field goal beats you, right? Like if you make this field goal and then they go and make a field goal, you still lose this game, right? You should be attacking for a touchdown. So as I recall, the Packers had 1 timeout, I think. They had 2 timeouts. So after the 1st down run, they used the timeout. The Texans then ran again. They used the 3rd and final timeout, did the Packers. So the play here is, if you're going to play this game, is you either run it to force the clock to run, to bleed that clock down, kick the field goal, and now the Packers have no timeouts and less time to operate. Or you take a shot at the end zone or try to get the 1st down. Inbounds, though. Anything that you do here has to be inbounds. If you're going to throw it, needs to be inbounds. If you're going to throw it and there's nobody open, take a sack. You're already in chip shot field goal range. Take the sack, keep the clock running, but do not, under any circumstances, go out of bounds or have a penalty, right? Those are the 2 things that you can't have because it's going to stop the clock and you're going to essentially give the Packers an extra timeout. Do you know what these clowns did on 3rd and 8? They ran an out route to the sidelines. And C.J. Stroud throws it 2 yards short of the 1st down, I may add. Throws an out route to a receiver that's 2 yards short of the sticks, and he's out of bounds. And I go, wait. What did we just do here? So you don't go for the touchdown on first or 2nd down because you acting as if this game is over. Like the Packers can't stop the clock. And so the Packers have plenty of time, or just off the strength of the 2-minute warning and the 2 timeouts. But you attacked it as if you got to the 2-minute warning and the Packers were fresh out of timeouts. And now all you got to do is run it 3 times, right? Take knees if you like, whatever floats your boat. And then call your final, call a timeout with 3 seconds left and kick this walk off. That's how they approached it. Packers have 2 timeouts and a 2-minute warning. The Packers used their 2 timeouts. And then instead of you keeping the ball in the field of play, So at least the Packers have no timeouts, and they'll get this puppy back with about a minute 10 or whatever left, minute 5, whatever. You run an outbreaking route and stop the clock again, and you're short of the stakes, so you have to kick this field goal. I said the Texans are so stupid. They got to be the dumbest team in the league. I swear. Late game situations, they got to be the stupidest team in the league, right? So you fast forward to tonight, and it's right before halftime. The Jets are struggling. All right, and that's me putting it mildly. The Jets stink. No. Let me say that correctly. The Jets stink. Okay? It's 7-0. How bad you want 3 points? Are you willing to give up a chance at the Jets to have a chance to get 3 points? Because in my mind, I don't want 3 points bad enough that I'm willing to give the Jets an opportunity at 3 points if I miss. They got all 3 of their timeouts, and this ball's damn near at midfield if I miss. I don't want 3 points that bad. Yeah, I trust my kicker. He's made some bombs this season. I know he's fully capable, but the risk reward here, like, make the field goal, go up 10-0. That's nice. Miss the field goal, Jets score a field goal before half, and they get the ball to start the second half, give them a little bit of momentum. This team is dead in the water right now. Which one outweighs the other, right? These ignoramuses kick a field goal, miss. Jets have the ball at like their own 46-yard line with 3 timeouts. And luckily enough for them, I want to say that was the throw to Devontae Adams where he couldn't hold on. Luckily enough for them, I think that was the one when he missed Mike Williams down the sidelines. He had him open. I could have sworn Aaron Rodgers missed somebody, but they were lucky to get out of there with no points being given up. To me, it was a dumb decision. Like, the Texans are a team that in those critical moments where the highest levels of football IQ is required, or sometimes in certain instances, the bare minimum is required for you to do the right thing. They struggle in those moments. Situationally, you could argue of the teams that have a winning record in the league this season, the Texans are the worst in terms of situational football, game management. They're awful. They're lucky right now to be 6-3, to be honest with you. They could have easily lost that Bills game. They could have easily lost, or they did lose the Green Bay game. They probably should have won that game, but they butchered that whole sequence of events there. They just aren't smart when it comes to game management. And I don't know who's in charge of all of that there in Houston, but they need to figure that shit out. Joe Mixon's a beast. Tank Dell is really good. The offensive line is in shambles in Houston. CJ Stroud has now been sacked 30 times in the season. I think that is the most of any quarterback this season. He came into the game sacked the third most at 22. Obviously, he got sacked 8 times tonight. That definitely affected him as a passer. The numbers bear that out. 11 of 30 for 191 yards, I think it was. He struggled mightily tonight throwing the football with any kind of consistency or accuracy. Now, he did use his legs, and that was kind of out of necessity tonight because the pocket was not clean at all. They had another offensive lineman go down tonight. So they are definitely struggling, are the Houston Texans. And so all of a sudden, what was this great start to the season? And look, Nico's going to be back, and you still got Nico and Tank, and you still got Dalton Schultz, and Joe Mixon is playing as good as any back in the NFL right now. You still got a ton of talent and enough to get it done. But boy, this quick turnaround on a Thursday night with the news of Stephon Diggs being out for the season, it felt like too much for the Texans to overcome, and it showed on the field. They did not look cohesive as an offensive unit. They struggled with consistency, and they were only able to muster 13 points. Granted, they missed 2 field goals. That would have changed a lot in this game, obviously, but the fact remains Um, Stroud wasn't good tonight. He just wasn't. And so let's get to a word from one of our sponsors, and then we'll come back on the other side and get to your comments.
Inside the Odds.
All right, so let's take a look at the game odds first. All of this is brought to you by BetUS. Get with one of the best books in the business. This stream is powered by BetUS. They've got a great offer going on right now. But before you get to any of that, make sure that you're betting responsibly. Only bet what you can afford to lose. Don't go chasing bets, all right, losses. All right. Make sure you're doing whatever you're doing with betting and gambling, you're doing it responsibly. But that said, if you're going to bet with the best, and that's BetUS. Fastest payouts in the industry. Who doesn't love that? Get up to 10% back on your net losses up to twice a year, as long as you're active for a 6-month period. And then here's the big kicker: 150% sign-up bonus for new users when you use the promo code YouTube150 for up to $2,000 on your first deposit, and 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 when you use the promo code YouTube150. So all these odds that you see tonight are from BetUS, and big shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this stream. This is what told me the Jets were winning the game tonight, even though I didn't want to pick them. I knew I needed to. I saw the line. I went on BetUS before the game to pull this graphic for you guys, and I saw the line, and I said, I got to go with the Jets tonight. They're literally telling me the Jets are going to win this game, by the Jets, who are 2-6, mind you, at home against a 6-2 team. The Jets are 1-point favorites. I said Vegas is screaming, please take the Texans. They want you. They are inviting you. Take the Texans. Take the points. Take whatever you want. Just take the Texans. We double dog dare you. We triple dog dare you. We're begging you to pound the Texans because we know they're losing this game. And when I saw that, I said, the Jets are winning this game. They were due. That's what I told Boss Man. I said, the Jets are due, man. They're due. Yeah, they stink, and they've done everything they can in their power to lose tonight, but they're due. And Vegas thinks they're due as well. And they were. Probably a nice cleanup night for Vegas, indeed. But I'm hip to the game. I knew what to do. And I ran the play, right? Over under total 43. Score was 21-13. So the under hit there. I didn't think a ton of points would be scored tonight. But I did think more than 34 points would be scored tonight. I was thinking along the lines of 23-20. So that, I think that's probably what Vegas was thinking. Let's see. They had the number for Houston at 20.5 and the number for the Jets at 21.5. So they were somewhere in that, 23-20 range, 22-19. They were somewhere in that neighborhood. I was thinking along the lines of 23-20, something like that. I would have thought that they would have scored more than 34 points combined, but there's that. Here's a more interesting thing that I want to look at here, and that's some of this AFC, some of these AFC odds. This was prior to tonight's game. Obviously, these odds are subject to change, and I would think that after the outcome of this game, the odds would have changed a bit more. So the one you see at the top is the AFC number 1 seed odds, and obviously the Chiefs are the prohibitive favorite, as they should be, in the AFC to be the number 1 seed. The Texans and the Bills were the next 2 on the board. The Texans were right in there, and had they won tonight, improved to 7-2, they would have probably saw their odds go up even more, and they would have been right in that mix. Instead, they dropped to 6-3, and it feels like a foregone conclusion almost, with Buffalo maybe being the only team that has an outside shot at challenging Kansas City. Those two have not played yet. They will play at some point this season. So will the Texans playing the Chiefs at some point this season. That has not taken place yet. But the Bills also play the Chiefs at some point. Someone's going to beat the Chiefs. They will not go undefeated this season. But the Texans really squandered an opportunity to kind of stay connected to that number one seed conversation. I think this loss kind of makes that feel almost a bit distant, if you will. But here's the one that I'm really intrigued by is the AFC wild cards, right? So right now, the Los Angeles Chargers have the best odds to win a wild card in the AFC, according to BetUS, of all the AFC teams. So they're essentially saying the Chargers are going to be one of the 3 AFC wildcard teams. They're the only one in the minus. Everyone else is plus. And so the next best odds belong to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, keep in mind when you see some of these odds, BetUS is also factoring in that you might win the division. And if you win the division, then you're not a wild card. So a team like Pittsburgh, for instance, they're at plus 105, not because they aren't going to be a wild card team. They're thinking they might actually win that division. So they won't end up as a wild card if they win the division. So you have to take that into consideration as well. I'm shocked to see the Dolphins at plus 450. I guess Tua's return has, given odds makers a little bit more confidence in the Dolphins. I just don't see them making a push for the playoffs. But let's talk about the team that played tonight. I talk about the Dolphins being at plus 450. How about the Jets being at plus 450? Now, again, a lot of talent on that football team. The schedule probably isn't that difficult, but still, this team hasn't proven that it doesn't matter who the opponent is. You can hang around and ultimately beat the Jets. They've proven that all season long. And maybe they get their act together. Maybe they get hot. Maybe they turn it up. But right now, it doesn't feel really feasible. The fact that they're plus 450, you got the Ravens at plus 200. The Colts are at plus 180. I mean, they're not winning their division, but are they making the playoffs? Are they making it as a wild card? I don't know if I see that happening. But I think that's more indicative of they're definitely not winning their division. And so because they're not winning the division, the only way they can make the playoffs is wild card. So Denver is the plus 130, same premise. They're not winning the AFC West because Kansas City is. So the only way that they're making the postseason is via the wild card. So that's why their odds are a lot higher. And I guess that also applies to the Jets. They're not going to, beat the Bills out for the division crown. So maybe that's why that number is so high. And then you see the teams that are division leaders or awful, like Buffalo is plus 1,500. Why? Because they're going to win that division. Kansas City's plus 22 or plus 900. They're going to win that division. The Raiders are plus 2,000. The Titans are plus 2,200 because those teams aren't winning their divisions and they stink. They're not even making the playoffs. And then the other team tonight, the Texans, plus 900. A lot of that has to do with the fact that they're probably going to win their division. But you don't want to count out Indianapolis either. They've got a big one on Sunday Night Football versus the Minnesota Vikings. I just find all of that interesting. And all of those odds were brought to you by BetUS. Let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. If you're out there, you want your comment read. Let's see. If you're out there, you want your comment read. Use the hashtag LouieTLive. We'll get to as many comments as we can, as long as time permits and the comments are pertinent. However, if you want to ensure that your comment is read, super chats are the way to do that. Not only do you ensure that your comment is read, you also ensure that you jump to the front of the line. So with that said, let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. All right. Juan Gotti Talking Sports writes, Sup, Lou? Sup, Juan? Honestly, think for a second, do you think the Texans peaked last year Also, what's up with Stroud lately? He's been looking a little iffy. Well, this is the thing about CJ Stroud. He's not really a runner at the position. Like when people remember, I told you my buddy asked me, would I rather have CJ Stroud or Jaden Daniels? And without hesitation, not because I'm a homer, not because Jaden is my guy, but because Jaden has wheels. That changes everything. Like Stroud isn't a runner for real. So he needs to be protected and he needs to have a pocket. Now, I've seen him stare down the gun barrel. I've seen guys be draped all over him and he'll still make, ridiculous throws, extremely accurate ones at that. But you put all of this together. Think about it from this perspective. He's got a shaky offensive line. He's lost a bunch of his weapons and he's getting hit a lot. I just told you he leads the NFL in sacks now with 30, right? He came into the game third in the league in sacks, 22, and he got sacked 8 more times tonight. So some of it is on him. Some of it is him holding on to the ball, right? Guys aren't getting open. Again, things change. He wasn't getting sacked a ton when Nico Collins was in the lineup, and Nico Collins was leading the NFL in receiving yards, right? A lot of shit changes when you lose your number one, and then your de facto one in Diggs is now gone for the season, and now you're just stuck with Tank Dell and whoever else, right? Or as I like to say, Tank Dell and them. So that stinks. But the offensive line hasn't been very good, and I think he's been a little bit frazzled because of that. So, as we saw with Mahomes, you start taking away a bunch of weapons, and you make shit tough on me. I can look pedestrian too, because if you don't have wheels, it's tough. Like Mahomes isn't a super athlete. He's just crafty. He knows, when to run, how to run. Like Caleb Williams is the same type guy. Like he's not super athletic. He just knows he's quicker than fast. And he knows how to get out, dip and dodge and, find green grass, that sort of thing. But Stroud isn't that at all. If he gets outside the pocket and there's room, as we saw tonight, he can run. But CJ Stroud isn't a guy that's going to, bolt up the A gap or the B gap, or he's not a guy that's going to run backwards, get outside the pocket, and then take off and run and out leverage a defensive end who has an angle. That's not who he is. And so with all the offensive injuries, receivers, offensive linemen, etc., he struggled a little bit. He definitely struggled tonight. That's for sure. Do I think they peaked? I won't say that necessarily, but they've had some big injuries, and that does change things, right? That definitely changes things. Steel City writes, Lou, how many QBs would you take over Jaden Daniels? I'm guessing Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Herbert, maybe Stroud. Hell no, I wouldn't take all of them quarterbacks over him. I wouldn't take any quarterback over him, maybe other than Mahomes. I wouldn't take any other quarterback over Jaden. Like Jaden Daniels is that good. Like when I was describing him to my buddy, I said he is CJ Stroud, Lamar Jackson, and he's like, I think I left it at that. He's like CJ Stroud and Lamar Jackson rolled into one, right? Obviously a lesser version of Lamar. But the accuracy and the ability to take care of the ball is the CJ Stroud part. And then the mobility, the athleticism, the twitchiness of a Lamar, right? And then I think Lamar's got a pretty, big arm too. So I think the arm would be fine with either one of those guys. But he's different, man. I wouldn't take anybody over him, but probably Mahomes. That's it. Probably Mahomes, and I don't know. I might stick with my boy, to be honest with you. That might be me being a bit biased. I think Mahomes is probably my one and only, though. I'm not taking Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or any of those other quarterbacks over Jaden. I think that highly of Jaden Daniels. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jamal, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, what's good? What's going on, Jamal? Says, being that I live overseas, these flex games are killing me. To be honest, for the first time in a long time, I don't care what free agent is available. I'm just letting AP drive the bus. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you're in trouble from a schedule standpoint because the NFL is madly in love with Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders right now. And they're doing everything in their power to move around ball games. So if they see a stiff playing at 425, and they see us playing a solid team, i.e. a Dallas Cowboys at 1 instead of 425, that ball game's getting flexed to 425. I would assume that us playing Dallas is already at 425, but if it's not, trust me, somebody's like, yo, we need to move that to 425, right? Because you can't move our Week 12 matchup against Dallas to Sunday or Monday because Dallas has a quick turnaround on Thanksgiving. So you want to keep that game probably at 1 o'clock, to be honest with you. But, I mean, I could see them still playing it at 425. If that first Eagles game wasn't on primetime, it would have been. That second one might get flexed, depending on who's playing that week and what it looks like. We got the Falcons late in the season. That feels like another, primetime candidate. Like, we got space too, because we only got one, 2 primetime games. We played one on Monday, Monday Night Football in week 3, and then we got another one in week 11 against Philadelphia. That's it. We don't have any more primetime. So they got space to move us into 3 different primetime slots if they so choose. So it can get pretty nasty for you. But as far as free agency and all that stuff, I'm with you. Like, I'll have my wish list. I had it last year, and they went shopping at all the stores that I told them that they needed to shop at. But I just trust their vision. Whatever they think is a good fit for this team, whatever they deem to be a commander, and they put that commander tag on a free agent or a draft pick, I'm all for it, man. They know best. Kevin the PRF says, we did it, Lou. We did it. I feel like Kamala, right? When Joe Biden won. We did it, Joe. We did it, Kev. We did it. I was telling my wife, pull up my Twitter and see what they were saying. I thought y'all were killing me. I thought people was killing me when I made that pick. Because when we talked during the kickback session, I already knew I was taking the Jets. I knew you were waffling, but you knew what you needed to do. Once you said what you said, and when I read your comment and you said, so am I supposed to be banking on on Tank Dell for the Texans or something like that? I was like, yeah, you still leaning Jets, even though you know good and well we done had our ass whooped by these Jets. You're like, look, man, I'm in Jets rehab right now, but if you bust me out of this joint, man, I'm going to get my fix right away. I'm going to get my fix right away. And sure enough, you got your fix, but this time we came out on top, man, and it feels good. I needed that because I already told you this week is treacherous. So I needed a boost going into the week because this week is downright dirty, dick, dastardly, right? Junio Rudy writes, at Arizona and home to Indy. Get to 5-6 before the bye, and anything is possible. Good win for my Jets. At Arizona is tough. And, again, I know during the telecast they talked about, only one team on the schedule remaining has a winning record. But again, Arizona's 4-4. I think Indy is, I don't know if they're 4-4, but they're somewhere hovering around, 500 or so. So these aren't easy games by any stretch of the imagination, but they're winnable games, right? They're winnable games. So one at a time, right? If you're a Jets fan, you shouldn't be thinking about 5-6. You should be thinking about 4-6, right? Let's beat Arizona next week. And then we can talk, right? Got 10 days off. It's always great when you win on a Thursday. My goodness. It's like a bye week. It's awesome, right? Get yours out the way. You get to watch everybody play on Sunday. You get that extra time off. That's a big one. Now you got to win the next one. So we'll see what happens. Cesar Mayo writes, can't let MetLife see another 2-6 home team be. I thought about the same thing, Cesar. I literally, when I was getting ready for this stream, I said, I don't like the iron. I don't really like the irony here, right? I said, this shit can't happen again. I don't like that I'm looking at this and I'm changing the records and I'm thinking to myself, this shit is too eerie right now. And I don't like the line for our game, right? The only difference is we're not underdogs. The Texans were underdogs tonight. We're not dogs on Sunday, but I think the line is short, right? Which Vegas is trying to tell us, hey, y'all ain't blowing them out. Y'all might not even beat them. But I'm like, hey, we defining the odds. I'm not playing that shit. We covering the spread and we covering it with ease, But Cesar, get out of my brain, bro. I literally said, hey, we not doing this shit. I just watched the 2-6 team at MetLife beat a 6-2 team. I don't need to see a repeat of that shit on Sunday. I literally said that to myself as I was getting ready for this stream, as I was changing the records from 6-2 to 6-3, from 2-6 to 3-6. I said this shit better not repeat itself on Sunday. I'm with you, Cesar. DJ 23. Right? Since Wilson's catch was a touchdown, looked like Pickens got both same leg down. That's what I thought initially. I'm like, that ain't no touchdown. It's the same foot. But the shin went down on the other foot, right? The shin and really I thought the toe went down first and then the shin. Doesn't matter. As long as something went down first, it was all good. But yeah, I didn't think. And remember, even if it was the same foot, because I can't remember if it was the same or different foot, even if it was the same, one knee, one shin, all that shit equals 2 feet. So even if it was the same one, doesn't matter because it cancels it out and it's equal to 2. So the big thing was he got a shin down. Now I think the toe came down. I think it was the opposite foot anyway. So I don't think it was the same foot. But I do know the same foot hit twice initially. What a catch that was. That's ridiculous. Steel City writes, Lou, I don't think the Texans are ready, but they played Detroit, Kansas City, and Baltimore this season, so we're going to see if Stroud is really that guy. We'll find out. These injuries might be a little bit too much for him to overcome. I'm going to reserve judgment on Houston until he gets Nico Collins back, because what they were doing prior to him getting injured and having the hammy was ridiculous. Those two were as in sync as a quarterback wide receiver duo as we had in the league prior to his injury. So if he comes back and picks right up where he left off, you'll see a different CJ Stroud. You'll see a much different CJ Stroud, because that dude wins and he wins quick and he wins big. And CJ trusts him, and he was catching everything before he got injured. Everything. So we'll see. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, PSA, hit the like button. Y'all heard the man. Public service announcement. Hit the like button. Sub this channel up if you haven't already done so. Turn on that notification bell if You have not done that either, so you don't miss a thing. Like tonight is a perfect example, right? Stream was supposed to start at 11:30. I thought I was going to be back before this game was over. Wasn't back before this game was over. Wasn't even close to being back when this game was over. I put a message out on social media, but not everybody's on social media. Not everybody follows me on social media, right? So you might not have known, but if you got that notification bell on and that shit goes off, it says, hey, Louie T's going live. Voila. You're back here chopping it up with the kids. So make sure you turn on that notification bell. Become a part of the Noti gang, right? Let's see. DJ 23 writes, the way CJ been playing, he lost the right to CJ. It's Coleridge until further notice. Hey, DJ, chill, bro. Chill, man. Chill out, man. chill, man. You stupid as hell. Chill, bro. Be easy, man. He calling that man by his government, man. Chill out. Oh, man. Stupid as hell. DJ 23. Thank you for the super chat. I can't with you, DJ. He says, why are players still making dumb plays, dropping the ball before you score? I wish I had the answer for you. I am flabbergasted by these players doing this shit. It is unbelievable to me that we are in 2024 and you still got guys making that boneheaded mistake. It is unreal that guys are still doing that shit. It couldn't be me. Couldn't be my team. I don't know how Jets fans do it. I'd have lost my shit 50 times tonight with the bullshit that they were doing. I would have lost my shit. Unreal. I mean, it was ridiculous. All the things that they were doing. Ridiculous. Steel City says, just need to see him get that playoff dub, and then I think he'll unanimously be a top 4 to 5 quarterback. And that's coming this year. I really truly believe that. I think he's going to jump right into the playoff pool, go all the way to the deep end, and have no issues, right? Really feel like that's going to happen this year. But again, we'll see. Niners fan, right? I was watching y'all play Chicago because we play them later in the season, and I need to beat the Cards. But man, Caleb looked awful. Caleb was garbage in that game until the fourth quarter. And even that wasn't clean, right? I mean, I saw Bears fans trying to justify the nastiness that was that game. I still think Caleb's going to be fine, by the way. I don't think he's going to be trash. But boy, was he awful in that game. You're not wrong, Niners fan. He looked spooked. He looked rattled. He was unsettled. I don't know what the hell was going on with him. And you know, again, like we saw with CJ Stroud tonight, when your offensive line, when you don't trust the 5 guys in front of you, that changes how you approach the position. We've seen it with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers ain't comfortable behind that offensive line. When he gets to the top of his drop, Aaron isn't comfortable. And if you don't trust the 5 guys in front of you to do their job, it's hard for you to stand back there with confidence and deliver the football. I don't give a damn who you are. But that said, Caleb was just missing too. And we got to credit Washington's defense for getting pressure on him, getting him off of his spot. But he was 4 of 13 for 33 yards through 3 quarters. Like, you can't make this shit up. He was 10 of 24 in the game. 10 of 24 for like 100 and 40 something yards, I believe. Like it wasn't picturesque. That's for damn sure. Right. Eric Sunderland, right? That roughing the kicker plus the drop TD, I would have crashed out if that was the Commanders. Bro, who you telling? I mean, I'm not even a Jets fan, and I was tweaking a little bit. Like, again, once I pick you, I am now a fan of you. I am now a you have now adopted me for 3 hours as an honorary fan, right? I am now an honorary fan for 3 hours. So now I need the Jets to win. I wasn't like losing my shit, but I was like, bro, are you serious? Like, you can't make this shit up, man. And every time they would put the camera on whatever clown would make a mistake, you would just look at him in the face and you go, yeah, you a Jet. You look like you supposed to be on this team doing stupid shit. Like, it's 3rd and 600 miles, and you're going to try to block the kick. You're not close enough to block it, by the way. Like, a lot of times you get on guys for like half-assing it, trying to, dive, but they don't want to hit the kicker. I don't want you selling out unless you're going to get to it. That dude was still like a full half yard away from the football after, full out extension diving. Like, you weren't close, bro. You weren't close. And then, the dropping of the ball before you, like, that is just a cherry on top. Like, at that point, I don't know what I would have done. I would have lost my shit completely. If a commander ever does that, I'm going postal. That just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Whatsoever. Anyway, DJ23 writes, 6-time rookie of the week. That award is locked, and we aiming for MVP as well. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, like that one, we running it, and we know we can run it, and so we're gonna keep running the play. But at the end of the day, I don't think MVP is attainable, but you can only try, right? Make them tell you no, right? Make them tell you no. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I digress. That's gonna do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of Thursday Night Football Overtime. Jets snapped their 5-game losing streak with a 21-13 victory over the Houston Texans. Jets get their 3rd win of the season. They're now 3-6. Meanwhile, the Texans, this is a bad loss. And granted, a lot of injuries for the Texans. First game without Stephon Diggs. No Nico Collins, still nursing that hamstring. Offensive line in shambles. It was a rough go of it tonight, but they had every opportunity to win this game, and they simply did not get it done. And if they don't, if they somehow end up being the 3rd or 4th seed in the AFC, or they had a chance to be the 1 seed but just missed out on it, whatever the case may be, you look back at a game like this and say, well, that was one that we should have won, right? They're going to win their division. I don't think you're going to look back and say, well, we should have won the division, but we lost it by a game. You're not going to look back in their division, not with the likes of Jacksonville, Tennessee, etc. in that division. But this is one you lament. Like, you need to be the 2-16. What are we kidding, right? But anyway, let me give one more shout out to BetUS for powering this stream. Head over to betus.com. Use the promo code YouTube150 to get 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit of up to $2,000 and 125% on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 when you use the promo code YouTube150. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. You guys get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the Louie T Network podcast. It's going to probably be a pretty long podcast. Got no kids, so I got no excuses not to do it tomorrow. We are definitely going to have a podcast episode. Lot to get to tomorrow. So I hope you'll be able to join me for that. Until then, you guys take care. Have a good one. God bless. Good night.